good. All right, let's get started. We got Tokimonsta inside the Roosevelt tape. I'm super hyped about having you on the show. I love the song with Van Jess, that Say Yes. As soon as I heard it, I forgot how I stumbled upon it, but I just started sending it off to friends that I'm like, I know you're going to fuck with this and you're going to fuck with this heavy. I promise you. Congratulations on the record.
Thank you.
So the motto for the show is good friends recommend good music. So, and of course, you know, a little something about that with your own Twitch show. You guys talk about some of the things you're listening to right now. Is there something you want to put us on to, an artist?
What have I been listening to? Oh my God, I got like a puppy and he's awake. I don't know if you can hear that. I guess, I mean, there's a lot of new music out that I've been enjoying. I think for the most part, I've been listening to a lot of old music right now also. So like, I know this is going to sound super corny, but I've like really gotten into ABBA. Remember? No. ABBA? You have to know ABBA is like really huge, like Swedish pop band from like the 70s. They did, you know, like Mamma Mia, like all that stuff. But the other stuff I've been listening to, well, mainly artists on my own label. So right now I've been listening to a lot of Rochelle Jordan. So her album is incredible. So that's like the number one thing I've been really recommending to everyone.
So let's talk about this song with Van Jess. You did the cover of Say Yes. Have you gotten any reaction from the ladies of Poetry yet, from Marsha or Flo?
I guess the whole story of the song was that like I had made it and I sort of like got a hold of the acapella and it was like a bootleg thing and I never thought I would actually be able to put it out, but you know, it had to get a little bit of a cosign from them for it to clear technically. Yeah. So, but like, you know, sometimes things can clear and you never really know if they really heard it or if they care. But I got like a repost from them on Instagram and I was like, okay, that's cool. You know, like little bits and little signs. I don't want to poke and prod, you know, everyone's got their own thing going on, but just knowing that they're good with the song being out in the world, it means a lot to me.
Oh, hell yeah. That's one thing I always get kind of nosy about is when there's artist collaborations, or in this case, there's a sample cleared and whatnot. I'm always looking on their Instagrams or their socials, and I'm like looking and searching, like, are they happy about this? Do they like it?
Yeah.
They promote it also. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because the main part that we took from the original is just the top line, because Van Jess re-sang it. So there's no like original vocals on there, no original parts of the production are on there because they like produced the whole thing. But you know, it is their words and their lyrics, and they wrote this beautiful song. So, you know, it was really important to know that, like, whenever I talk about the song, that I really I want people to know that I'm paying tribute to the original, because like the original song means so much, and holds like a really special place in my heart for a lot of people. You know, I'm sure when I came out with this song, everyone's like, oh yeah, Say Yes, I remember that track, you know. And we need that kind of cool, loving, like romantic energy back in our life. So I made the song, and you know, it's constantly a conversation about, you know, everyone out there, you like this song, make sure you check out the original, because I'm always about like, you know, making sure that people know the source material and like where it came from. And so, yeah, they like did a little repost and stuff, and I was like, sick. I was like, yeah, dope. This is great.
No, I definitely love the record. Let's talk about your album Oasis Nocturno that came out right before the pandemic hit. Yeah. Kind of looking back and reflecting on the last year, are you glad you were able to put that out and take a break, or was it like, oh, I kind of want to tour this?
Yeah, you know, it's actually a little unfortunate how that happened, because, you know, you have the album, the music is out there, but a big part of supporting the album. My puppy needs to chill. But the big part of supporting the album is doing this tour, and it's both this very symbiotic relationship where you need the album to do the tour, but then through the tour, it really helps the album. And, you know, when you only do half of it, which is just the music part, it leaves a lot to be desired for me as an artist. I'm like, oh, I didn't get to show everyone what this song translates to in a live setting. So it was a little bit of a bummer, but at the same time, it was a good time for people to sit down and listen to the music. And for the kind of music that I make anyways, that's the most important, people sitting with it. It's not like music that people are going to go pop bottles to all the time, but also at the same time, this whole pandemic gave me space to try new things with my music. And I think Say Yes is a really great example of that. Me trying something still very much me, but me trying to make a song a little bit more for the club, in my own unique way.
Oh, I love that. One of the things that I've noticed you talk about sometimes on your Twitch stream or just other interviews is the pressure that kind of went on in the pandemic, where because I felt it too, and I felt very, it was very relatable. On my end, you see people, setting up all these Zoom interviews and live IG shows and all that stuff. And I'm like, am I missing out on something that I just don't want to do this? I don't want to partake in this. I don't want to feel the pressure of this. And it's dope to see that you don't necessarily have to be active. You didn't necessarily have to be active in the pandemic, but if you come out of it like you did with the Say Yes record, it's still, I guess, a positive I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but you know what I
mean? There was a lot of pressure to stay visible during the pandemic because it's music, it's media, it's entertainment. People forget really quickly, but I think that's not the right perspective, and not the right perspective I was having in the beginning, looking at it like scarcity, oh, if I don't do something, people are not going to remember me. If I don't do something, will people buy tickets when I come out of this? And I changed my framework and perspective on it to more hey, I'm going to keep growing as an artist during this time. And of course, people will still be there for me because I'm going to still be there for them, as a musician. And instead of looking at it oh, what if not? What if these things don't happen? And putting that negative spin, to think more yeah, I'm going to grow and things will get better and things will be amazing and we will get out of this. And the entire time during the pandemic doing that Twitch show, I was like, we're going to get out of this and it's going to be great. And look, we're getting out of it and it's great. And everyone's ready to party and enjoy themselves and see their friends and give hugs and all these amazing activities.
Definitely perfect timing for the record. Now, I just watched the Underplayed documentary on Amazon Prime. It was really, really good. In the doc, you kind of talked about questioning even your Grammy nomination, questioning whether the world viewed you as a gimmick, and obviously not. You definitely deserve that Grammy nomination and many more to come. But when it comes to your art and what you put out into the world, do you find yourself kind of holding back because of those intrusive thoughts at times?
Yeah, occasionally I will. There's two sides of this self-doubt that happens as an artist. First of all, you're creating art. It's very vulnerable. You're putting yourself in a position where, just imagine oh, I'm nervous going putting makeup on for this Zoom. I put sunglasses on. That's how self-conscious you can be in these moments, right? But with music, it's another level. You're creating something like a child almost, and people might say hey, your music sucks, your baby's ugly, whatever it may be, and it will hurt more. So as an artist, there's this part where I want people to make sure that they're paying attention to the art I create and not the entity that I am, because at the end of the day, I'm a musician first and then I'm all these other things after. And when I first started out as a musician, it was so important for people to not focus on my identity. It doesn't matter that I'm a woman. It doesn't matter that I'm this person. Just pay attention to the music and let the music speak for itself. This many years later, though, I don't think the same way. Not because I want to use my identity as a gimmick. I use my identity as a form of representation to inspire other people. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, I was hardcore, just focus on the music, just focus on the music. Now I'm focus on the music and the person that it's coming from, because this face and other faces like it can create amazing music and can get nominated for a Grammy and can do all these things. But it takes a moment for you to build up the strength to accept yourself and the good that you can do outside of the art that you create. Like your personality, your identity, all these things are going to inspire people to start creating and doing bigger, more amazing things than I'm even capable of.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that shift in the mindset, because that's something myself in radio, male dominated industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I always focused on is, no, I don't want to be the pretty face that's just on the radio. I want you to listen and just listen to my content and enjoy it for that. Now I'm like, this is me. This is all of this. Black and Latina, like, enjoy all of it. This is what I come with. And I want to see other women in these positions also.
100%. And, I'm not sure. I wonder if it's the same for you, but they talked about it a little bit in Underplay, this idea that as a woman in electronic music or in hip hop or whatever, just a female producer, you feel as though you can't even be too feminine, and
I watch the way I talk sometimes when there's men around. I make sure to call them things like that men hate to be called, like dog, son, bro. So that they know that there's that barrier. There's no chance. Let's keep this professional for sure.
100%. And what I find limiting is that, so I go to these venues, I like dress a certain way, I don't show too many womanly parts of me. Yeah. But when I'm out on a date with my dude or whatever, then it's completely different, right? I realize how unfair that is, that you feel as though you have to subdue your femininity to keep your place, in a way that you have to adopt masculinity in a way to be like, yeah, respect, dude, like, bro, you got to respect me. I'm not some like, whatever kind of like chick. And you should just be whatever kind of feminine chick you want. As long as your music is good, you still should demand respect from other people.
Yeah, you should still be able to be that, respect me with the crop top on if you choose to.
100%, mm-hmm. And I think about that a lot because, when I perform and things like that, it's not like I don't dress feminine, but I'm very conscientious of how I present myself, because I'm like, I don't want people to pay attention to my chest or people to pay attention to like my ass or whatever, because I want people to be in the moment and not distracted by it. But that's not my responsibility. At the same time, though, I'm not like usually a person that likes to dress like too much like that, but I do think, 100%. If I'm out there and I'm just like, I feel like, I've done enough squats to wear those booty shorts, which I have not. So those are not going to come out anytime soon after this pandemic. You should be able to. And people shouldn't accuse you of anything like, oh, she's just a slutty producer, DJ, whatever. And obviously it's important for me to set a good example for people. So it's a lot of things you have to think about, basically. Like, I want to represent women, but I should represent every woman, not just represent women that are one way or another. It's complicated.
One of the things I learned also in watching that documentary is the inclusion writer, which I thought was really interesting. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to talk a little bit more about that? And is that something that you would like to partake in also?
Yeah, inclusion writers are just like, I'm not going to perform here unless whatever, it really could be anything you want. And I'm not going to perform here unless this festival, unless the buildings are 50% women, or there's a diverse lineup or something. It doesn't have to be just women. It's a spectrum, whoever. And I see a lot of bigger artists doing that because they have the ability to do so. I'm sorry if you're like Taylor Swift, or I don't know that she's a good example to use, but
some of the people they talked about was like Ariana Grande and Lady Gaga, Tony mm-hmm. Bennett, like these huge names that really have the power to make that shift happen.
Yeah, because they're at a gatekeeper level. And I think even at a lesser level, even where I am, you can still be like, hey, I won't participate unless you book one other female act in addition to me. Or if like the lineup doesn't look whatever, whatever opportunities that are necessary. And that doesn't mean that you're forcing them to just be like, oh, fuck it, let's just put on like a couple extra chicks onto this thing. You still want these women to be excellent musicians, The thing is, there are amazing, excellent, for every amazing male performer, there's an amazing female one. It's not about cutting the standards just to get a few girls on. It's about just opening up the search to find those super dope, amazing women and not giving mediocre female musicians a handout. No, women don't need a handout. Just notice us, you know?
Yeah, definitely. For whoever watches this interview, definitely check out Underplayed on Amazon Prime. It's definitely worth the watch. So many things that I was put onto, just the background and how many women like in engineering and sound that have put so much into electronic music and just music in general. And my eyes were opened like, wow, we really are led to believe that, oh, like, you know, there's just not women in these spaces. No, they're just not recognized in these spaces.
100%. There are so many talented women out there in all fields where it's predominantly men, you know, or just there is this rift between the number of men versus women and etc. Like it shouldn't be that different. Everyone just has to go and allow the opportunities to be given to a more diverse group of people, gender, race, everything, you know.
Let's go do it. All right. So I was stalking your Twitter. I loved what you had to say sometime yesterday, of course. You said, if you're just starting to produce, try not to be discouraged. All your favorite musicians had to start somewhere, and it's the exact same place you're starting from. Nothing. I wanted to talk about what your start was and what you kind of learned that you still take to this day, or vice versa, like some of the things you had to unlearn over time.
This is a really good question because, you know, for me, my original background in music was like classical piano, you know, just like piano lessons and things like that. And there's a lot of structure and rules to that. So when I started making my own music and being a producer, mostly in like the hip hop and electronic space, I realized that those rules don't apply anymore. Like I don't need to follow music theory structures to make amazing music. And it's really about breaking those barriers and those rules that create a new and exciting sound. And so that was something I had to really forget and to break off from, was just structure and standards and people telling you it should be this way. No, it shouldn't. You know, music should just be whatever you feel. As far as the things that I've learned along the way, like, you know, in the very, very early days when I just started producing, I wanted to sound like the RZA. I was like super into Wu-Tang. I wanted all my beats to sound like Wu-Tang Clan beats. And
that's right.
And then I was like, okay, because, you know, when you first start out, you know, creating music, a lot of times, you know, the best way to teach yourself and to practice is by emulation. But you can't be a successful musician. Well, actually, you can be a copycat musician and be very successful, but that's a very specific kind of person, and I don't knock it. That's for that person. But for me, if you want to change the landscape of music, you have to break all the rules. Because if you want to sound like someone else, someone already sounds like that, and you're just following trends. But it's to take the risk and to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be able to accept that maybe a few people might think that your music is weird or, like, you know, average or whatever. It's because they don't understand. You know, if you want to be the person that everyone else wants to copy, then you have to be the one that breaks the rules and does something completely different. So I learned over my entire career to always trust my instinct. Even when people tell me like, oh no, you know, you should work with this person, or maybe you should do this more commercial sound or whatever, don't do it. Because what's happened over the years for me is that my music was considered left field and experimental, and now it's somehow become like popular music, and I haven't really changed anything. People just come around, and I think that every other musician out there and someone aspiring to do something artistic, creative, or whatever, be that person that disrupts the norm, because you're going to be the one that changes everything.
It's definitely the long game.
Yeah.
Longevity game, which I appreciate that over the hopscotch. What do they call it? The microwave stuff, which, like you said, I don't knock it. There's a hustle for that too, but like
100%.
When your your vision is different, it's bigger. Well, I don't. Yeah, bigger.
Yeah, and sometimes people are good at emulating and improving upon. You know, like I feel like even someone like a Drake, he's so good at just like constantly being this chameleon that changes over and over again. But then he will be influenced by other things, but he has this way of just making it so much more accessible and pop and big and all this stuff. And I really respect that in artists, but it's not necessarily the kind of artist that I am. And I just know for me, it's so important to stay my voice and to express what I want to, because what if, you don't live to see tomorrow? Will you be happy with the art that you leave on this planet today? And I want to know that I really expressed myself and what I wanted to, because nothing's ever guaranteed.
Yeah. It's kind of morbid, but that's the thing I think about. Every flight I get on, like, all right, am I happy with what I put out?
Yeah. I think of looking at it this way, like, it's not the fact that like, oh, you're gonna die one day, because that's super scary. It's more just like, hey, you get to
morbid.
It's more like you like looking at it like, oh, you get to live today.
Yeah.
And if you really truly want to live today, then you gotta realize that it's this like temporary amazing thing, so you got to do the best that you can while you're here. Hopefully that didn't get too like cerebral like inside.
Well, that's good. We need the gems. That's what we're here for. Now you took on a different producer role when it comes to your show on Twitch, Lost Resort. What were some elements that were really important to you to have on the show that were authentic to who you are as an artist and just as a person overall? Because it's very personal with your friends and eating and just having a chill hangout, virtual hangout.
Yeah. It was really interesting because, I'm not like someone who wants to be a host. I'm not someone who wanted to have like a Twitch show. I just sort of fell into it during the pandemic and during the quarantine time. So I wanted it to be a hangout because I don't want anything to feel like work, right? I want it to be like, not like I have to hang out with these people. I want to, like, oh, cool, I get to see these homies. Or I met a lot of new musicians as well that were like my guests, and I got to learn about what they're doing and how they're killing it and all these amazing things. So it became a really rewarding experience. And it also allowed me to maintain my like social abilities. After not seeing people for a while, you still need to talk, and then you stay cool.
Yeah, definitely socially awkward when I'm out. Sometimes like, hey.
I know. I'm just like, do we like hug each other now? Is that okay yet? I don't know, but yeah, the main rule for that show was just, let's all have fun. There's no structure. If someone wants, even though there's, kind of like talking points, if people want to talk about one thing or talk about something completely different, like aliens, all good. I want the guests to feel like they're not pressured and that they're just having fun and that they feel relaxed and they're having a good time. So if they don't want to talk about music and they start talking about, I don't know, what they ate for dinner, then that was fine. I love it. Let's do it. Do
you get kind of stressed out when there's like a new digital? I ask because I do. Like Twitch came out and we're like the TikTok, and I'm like, I gotta start doing another thing. I'm barely getting the hang of Instagram right now.
I know, man. TikTok is just one of those things where I feel like I'm not brave enough for it. Like TikTok, you got to be like all about yourself. And I'm like a little bit more self-deprecating, but like I can't do like a dance on TikTok. I'm going to be like, I feel so stupid.
Same.
But I love watching it. So I go on TikTok a lot to like watch other people do things, or like makeup tutorials, or like people that, sleepwalk, or jokes or humor. But like me on it, I'm like so corny.
Into the refurbishing furniture on TikTok right now.
Oh, see, that's the great thing about TikTok though. You can find a thing that you like and it immediately changes the algorithm, and that ends up being like so much of what you see. Like I think I started looking at like animal stuff, like cute dogs, cute like cats, rabbits, whatever, and that's like all my feed is, and I'm like, this is tight. I'm just like scrolling through, just watching all these cute little animals.
I have so many like TikToks saved that like, yeah, I can do that. I'm gonna try to recreate that, and then when I go to do it, I'm just like, this is.
They make it seem easy. They have 30 to 60 seconds to make it look like a piece of cake. It's a lie, I tell you.
Lie. The transitions and all that. I'm like, wait, what?
Man, I'm really fascinated by how they film things when people do these like cool camera angles, and then there's like tutorials on how to do those camera angles. I'm like, what? Everyone's just so sharp.
Following that, yeah, like you said, she films herself, but she does it all in one take. Like it's not like, all right, quick break. No, it's like, and then
I watched that one.
That's
Yeah,
stuff.
I totally.
Yeah,
Was she British? No, I don't
yeah.
remember.
She's
Yeah, it is,
from
right? Yeah, I totally saw that.
I was like, what? I'm never gonna get to this expert level. You know what? I'm gonna.
I'm just like, I give up. I'm like, but people that are good at TikTok are like really good at TikTok. I'm just like, man, just hang out on Instagram for a little while longer. Is that okay?
Well, we talked about like just your vision, kind of like you're in this for the long game, right? You have your record label, which is super dope, and it's something that you've been working on for a while. Is
Mhm.
your vision for your label different than what it is, I guess, for yourself, for your own brand?
Yeah, it is. I only make music because I love listening to music, right? And I just thought that I had a way of expressing myself in the way that I would want to hear. And if that makes sense. So I was always the kid that's like, hey, let me send you this, like, I'm going to burn this MP3 CD for you, or like send you these files. Like, you got to listen to these tracks. And that was always me. So now, me as a label owner, I get to do that. I'm like, hey, everyone, I'm releasing this music because I want you to hear it. And people trust me because of me as an artist, right? So this label gets to be a platform for me to support other younger artists that I think should get some shine. And I just want it to be a platform for people to jump off from. And so with like Rochelle Jordan, she got like nominated for like a Polaris Prize, and she's gotten all these like different radio looks and magazines and all this stuff. And that just makes me like so proud that I got to share that. Because have you ever had that moment where like you share a song with someone, of course, because you're on radio, and they're like, dude, this song changed my life. This song is everything. Then you're like, oh, because I showed it
Yes.
to you. Like you have that little bit of pride inside. So it's kind of like, it's not radio, but it's a label. So I'm also servicing people with music and new music and all of that.
You talked about supporting these artists early on, which I've noticed kind of looking back at your catalog and seeing where some of these artists are now. I'm like, oh shit, Cookie really had like from Una to Duckworth, Anderson .Paak, Wait, like there's a couple of others, a bunch of others, to be honest. That came up to my mind. When it comes to those collaborations as a producer, I know there's a role in making the room feel comfortable and whatnot. Do you have any rituals when it comes to that, when it comes to collaborating with different people, I guess?
It's always like a vibe, right? I notice it's always dependent on the other person. When I work with certain artists, you're like, let's go pick up like a bottle of Hennessy. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's go to the liquor store right now and let's just do it. And some artists are like, like, let's sit down and talk about, oh man, there's some dude that's like doing, like, some artist maybe might have broken up with a dude or had a dude that's in prison or like is on the phone. She's just like, man, he's just so whack. And I'm like, then we have this kind of like heart to heart session. And the main thing is I don't go and being like, let's fucking write this music right now. It's like, let's just have fun and enjoy ourselves. And then amazing music will follow, because the most amazing music to me comes from moments that are really authentic. And it's really easy in this kind of modern age to just send out a beat to someone and be like, oh, write something, send it back. But when you're in the room together, even though I'm not, singing it, and I'm just there to support them as they're writing, most of the time the beats are already done. It's just to be there to support them, to be there to create new memories. And at the end of the day, be like, yeah, all these people that have been on my album, if I see them out there, like, we'll get a drink together. I can go hit up Anderson .Paak and be like, you want to go get dinner, and that's what we do. Like, I can be like, hey dude, I just heard the song, you should check it out. And I text him yesterday and he's like, oh yeah, it sucks, or it's great, or whatever it could be. Sometimes it's just, it sucks. But like, you build these really authentic relationships, and that's almost more important than the music. And the music is just like a screen grab of those great moments.
Reflection. Very dope. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us, the Roosevelt Tape on Live 101.5.
What's up? It's Tokimonsta. Good friends recommend good music on Roosevelt Tape. Make sure you listen to my brand new single, Say Yes, featuring Van Jess.
And this is where the song starts. All you gotta do is say yes. Hey.
Right. Can't wait to play the song out more for people. Let's have a good time.
got the it's a couple dates announced, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some already, but not since the songs come out. So I've been dropping the song like even throughout the pandemic a little bit, but now people will know the song, and now I really want to play it.